Dude, LeBron's a bucket in this game. It's so easy.
Nah, Steph, man. There you go. Good shot. Good shot.
Ooh.
Were you guys at the Malvern basketball game the other night? They killed it.
Yeah, they went off. Their O was on fire.
Nah, I was too busy benching.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah, dude. No, like, actually, the atmosphere in the gym was so sick. It was so hype.
For real?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go to the Sixers game tomorrow for your birthday?
No, probably not. I mean, like, I'm really thinking about, like, who I'm gonna vote for.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you turned 18.
Are you
You turned
registered?
18, right?
I registered, like, a couple days ago. I'm leaning towards Bill Rufford right now, but, like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I really agree. I really like his stance on like healthcare and a couple other policies.
I'm not really a fan of Bill Rufford, but like I don't really know who to vote for at this point.
Yeah, I'm definitely going towards Caroline Fordham. How could you guys not support her?
Dude, are you serious with her? Like, have you seen her stance on income inequality? That's one of the main reasons I'm gonna vote for Bill, is because of his stance on income inequality.
That's so true, Shay. I really disagree with her viewpoint on income inequality and how she wants to take money away from the wealthier people who work really hard to accumulate their wealth and then just give it to the poorer people. It's ridiculous.
Wait, like what is income equality? Like I've heard about it.
What, dude? Income inequality is literally the backbone of a free market economy. The people who work hard for the money accumulate more wealth than those who don't work as hard. The jobs that make more money are the jobs that our economy heavily relies on.
Dude, not at all. Like, that's not even like. It's really just the corporate fat cats. They take all the money from the hardworking middle class people to buy their fourth and fifth mansions.
I mean, you're just wrong.
What?
You know what? You know what? Let's just settle this with a structured political argument. Let's each take our 4 points, convene with our partners, and then come back in 20 minutes and discuss.
Yeah, I like that, actually.
Let's
We'll have to quit our game,
Yeah.
but whatever.
What are you doing, dude?
Dude, I'm just.
You're supposed to be talking about income inequality, not trying to get your chest going.
I can't work without the pump.
We've got to prove to them why income inequality is bad.
I'll look up some articles online.
So, I mean, there's the obvious reasons. There's the health and social aspects of it, which are all negatively affected by income inequality. So, like, people who aren't making as much money are obviously not going to be living those healthy lives. There's a proven higher mortality rate with lower income. Life expectancy isn't as long. There's alcohol dependency, drug dependency issues, all social issues. But that's not the point we're making. We have to talk about how it affects the economics of it.
Okay.
So basically what's happening is we're putting the majority of our wealth into the hands of
Like
the top percent.
like 5% or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
So those people don't even know what to do with that much money. So what's happening is they're having all this money with nowhere to spend it. And the people down low, by the way, these people with all this money, they have their companies and they're dependent on people paying or buying their product. And what's happening is the lower percent who are working at minimum wage almost have no money to spend. So in the long run, it's hurting both of them. The people at the bottom, they don't have any money to spend and they're struggling to survive. The people at the top, it's going to hurt them in the long run because the people who
don't have enough money to
yes,
spend.
the people who they're relying to buy their products aren't getting enough money paid. So in the long run, it's hurting both the top and the bottom. And that's basically what we need to tell them, that we need to change their mind.
Alright, well, we can get some like articles online, get some references, and then prepare our argument.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, for sure.
Dude, we're definitely gonna win this, like, debate. Like, I don't think they stand a chance.
Yeah, I don't either. We got this.
Like, our side just makes more sense, like, you know what I mean?
It really does, yeah.
I hope Rufford wins the election, though.
I do too.
That'll be big.
I don't know what I'm gonna do if Caroline Fordham's our next president.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
So, since, like, we did a bunch of research, one of the things that I found was trickle-down economics, and that was instituted by Ronald Reagan. And what that basically does is it pumps a bunch of money into the top and gives these tax breaks to these, like, top CEOs of these multi-billion-dollar companies, and that allows them to streamline their company and allows them to reinvest the money that they have back into making their company more profitable and allowing for better lives for these, like, middle class, like, lower class workers in these multi-billion-dollar companies, because they know that the people in the top are making money, but they want to make everyone throughout the company make a lot of money, and I think that makes a lot of sense for us. We have like a couple graphs that can back that up.
Yeah.
So another thing that I had was the income gap, and the income gap, which definitely is present in the U.S., but it's not arbitrary. Like, it definitely reflects people's actions. Like, these billionaires, like these CEOs, they're there for a reason. Like, they made the correct mistakes throughout their life, and like they made the correct economic choices where they are in the position that they're in, and that like makes a lot of sense. Like, the people who did the right thing should have like the most reward, and it's really not arbitrary, you know?
Yeah, I really agree. I found through my research that income inequality is a consequence of the free market economy. You're gonna have people at the top, you're gonna have the CEOs making millions, you're gonna have people at the bottom that are poor. That's just how it works. Everybody can't get what they want. There's limited resources in this world. And also, the wealthy people who worked really hard to accumulate their wealth, they shouldn't have to give it away to the poor people just so they can survive. That's not fair.
Yeah, and like we have a lot of graphs, like we have some good videos. Like, I think we're gonna kill them, and I really think that like income inequality and like to the degree that it is in the U.S., it's really just like a factor. It's in every free market economy in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a part of the free market and capitalism. It just makes sense.
Couldn't agree more. We got this.
Where's Sweeney?
You guys ready?
Sweeney!
His nose.
Dude,
What are you doing? We have the income
have an
inequality
argument.
debate, dude.
No, I'm just warming up.
Oh my god.
We're waiting
Let's
for you.
go. Drop it.
alright, let's go.
Round one. Fight!
Alright, you guys all set?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're good.
Alright, so
start.
I just don't see how you guys can think that income inequality is good. So like, look at the richest 400 people in the United States. They have more wealth than the bottom 150 million. I just don't see how that's fair.
It's just a consequence of the free market economy. Like, that is unavoidable. Those people, they're there for a reason. They worked hard. They made the right decisions in life. I don't know, like, what you expect from our economy or what you want. Like, do you want everyone to have like equal incomes? There's a quote from a U.S. senator who's also a Republican, Rick Santorum. There's income inequality in America. There always has been, and hopefully, I do say that, there always will be. Why? Because people rise to different levels of success based on what they contribute to society.
So, like, basically what that means is that the people who make the most money are the ones who contribute the most to society. Like, these people get this hate for making so much money to be these multi-million-dollar companies, and the reason that they make so much money is because they do so much for society. Like, these corporations, they do so much, and that's why they make so much money, because they contribute so much to society.
Yeah, but you have to be able to sympathize with like the social and mental impacts that come along with this. Like, if you look at the lower end of the income, like the social and health problems increase greatly. Things such as health issues from lack of a healthy diet and lower quality medicine, like inferior food and medicines, like it's really prevalent in our society. And then also lack of money results in a lack of health care and a lack of a variety of health, and an increase in a variety of health issues, which just like can plague our society as a whole.
Round two. Fight!
Many social issues occur too. Anxiety, depression, and other mental disabilities occur in the lower income families. Often when the mental disabilities are present, drug and alcohol dependency comes with it. People use drugs and alcohol to cope with their depression, and all of this stems for income inequality.
Dude, those issues are just consequences of people having low income. Like, not trying to be cynical, but the reason that those people are in the lower class is because they made not correct economic choices. Like, there's a reason, other than being born into it, that they are in the lower class and that they are impoverished, and it's either lack of education, just poor choices, but there's a reason that they're there, and they have to turn to these things like drugs and alcohol. On the flip side of that, you have these really just loaded people who make the right economic choices all the way up, and they make the correct choices with their money, and that's why they make some money, and that's why there's such a wage gap in the US, because these people, they just make sound economic choices throughout their life, so they accumulate wealth and they keep growing.
Sweeney, going off of your point, rather than using drugs and alcohol to cope with poverty, these people should be out spending time to finding a better job. I know not all people can afford college or like institutions, but there are educational opportunities out there for people impoverished.
Okay, well, I believe it hurts both the high earners and the low earners in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it puts the wealth in the hands of a tiny slice of consumers who can only spend so much money. Like these CEOs and all these rich people in our society, like they can only spend so much money. And in the long run, like the vast majority of earners are left with little to no extra money to like buy these goods and services. And it's these people, the CEOs, who are hurt in the long run because the lower income people aren't able to buy their product, and it's gonna eventually like depreciate their company. And yeah, so low growth is gonna make everyone poorer in the long run, and otherwise like it's just really gonna hurt their production in the long run.
I disagree with that. I definitely don't think that the CEOs are hurt by this. Like, the reason that things come down in price is because these CEOs, the ones who make like astronomical amount of money, they buy, like, remember when computers costed like millions of dollars? The reason that they're so refined that you can buy them like with a phone or on your laptop for like $200 is because that these astronomically rich people bought it then and then allowed for growth in the economy to allow it to shrink it down and allow it to become more affordable for the everyday person, which just increases industry. Because if there were only $1 million computers, do you know how small the market would be for those types? Like, the reason it's affordable for everyone is why that we make so money off computers.
Jumping off of that point, though, economic inequality can give wealthier people an unacceptable degree of control over the lives of others. If wealth is very evenly distributed in a society, wealthy people often end up in control of many aspects of the lives of poor citizens. They control where they work, what they do in life, what they can buy, and in general, like, just around their lives, totally. As an example of ownership of a public media outlet, such as a newspaper or a television channel, this can give control over how others in the society view themselves and their lives and how they understand their society.
Yeah, I mean, economic inequality can like really undermine the fairness of political institutions. Like if those who hold the political offices must like depend on large contributions for their campaigns, like they'll be more responsive to the interests and demands of wealthy contributors. And those who are not rich like aren't going to get the demand and aren't going to be fairly represented. As depicted here on this graph, you can see how over the years income inequality has surged. Back between 1950 and 1980 roughly, there's still inequality, but it wasn't as great. About 33% of the growth in between that time went to the top 10%. Now, in 2000 to 2007, all of the growth between that time went to the top 10%. As you can see, income is surging in the United States, and we have the statistics to show it.
Like, it is true that the ultra wealthy people may manipulate how the media depicts these lower class people, as well as like the media depicts life in general. But I don't think that's really entirely related to income inequality. Like, I think like the media and like the people who maybe control the media would use it for a lot more sinister things than just to make poor people look stupid. You know, like, I really think they might have better things to do than just depict the lower class as like these stupid people, because like realistically it's not like that. So this is also another factor that shows how misconstrued topics can get in everyday life. Like, take resources, for example. Many people just assume that there is enough resources for everyone to have unlimited money and unlimited resources, which realistically just isn't the case.
Yeah, just like Mr. Ossick says, there is limited resources in this world. Not everybody can get what they want. Unfortunately, our economy is flawed, and we don't always allocate our resources properly. And unfortunately, it's challenging, but not impossible, for those who are impoverished to dig their way out of poverty. This is depicted perfectly in a quote from Benjamin Franklin. "I am for doing good to the poor, but I differ in opinion of the means. I think the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but leading them or driving them out of it. We need to take a step of getting the impoverished people, help them climb up the social ladder instead of just turning a blind eye to them."
we can't be giving them handouts. We need to allow them to reintegrate themselves into society. Like, we can't just be giving them money with no attempts of allowing them to become a normal citizen and be back into the working force again.
Like I said, we're much better off helping them find educational opportunities rather than just upping their wage $5.
Okay, well, economic equality undermines the fairness of the economic system itself. Economic inequality makes it difficult, if not impossible, to create equality of opportunity. Income inequality means that some children will enter the workforce much better prepared than others, and people with few assets find it harder to access the first small steps to larger opportunities, such as a loan to start a business or pay for an advanced degree.
That's just a factor of life. Like, people will be born into great societies like us, like great towns, like with great parents and like great education. That happens in every country across the world. People will have more opportunities presented to them, and they'll have worse opportunities. People will be born in the slums of South Africa, or they'll be born in Malvern, will they have these great school systems and these great colleges that they can go to. That's just a factor of life. That's not something that we can change in the U.S. That's like an intrinsic part of people as they're born. Like, that just happens to everyone.
Yes,
I really don't think we can change that.
But that is something that we can change. You know, if you're being born into a poor family or born into a rich family, you're obviously luckier in the rich family, but in the poor family, the way our economy is set up is that it's so difficult for them to get out of that.
That's true, but I think we've seen a lot of cases in the U.S. of just people grinding, getting out of poverty, coming into a new country and working very hard and just working their way up the ladder they become these multi-million-dollar people. There are these stories, granted there are a few of them, of just people working super hard and just outworking their education, funding themselves, going through college. There are stories of these people just getting out of these slums, so I don't think we can really say that's the economy's fault.
As you can see depicted in this graph, the gap between the average income of the top 1% compared to the rest of the 99 is substantial. You can also see a very large gap between the average income of the top 20% compared to the rest. It is such a quick drop-off, which really illustrates the disparity of the income gap problem in the U.S.
So I think I have something that'll pretty much end this debate. So do you guys know what trickle-down economics is? I'll tell you. So it was instituted by Ronald Reagan, and it's basically just economic policy that pumps a ton of money into the top half and to the upper echelon of gives these tax breaks to these huge CEOs for these multi-million-dollar companies, and then they streamline their business, which gives money and gives ups the wages and ups the living and the insurance to the lower and middle class of these people who work in these companies, and it gives all these tax breaks to the upper echelon of these companies, so the top half and the top 1%, and then that allows them to refine and streamline their whole business, which really makes way for these lower and middle class people to make a lot more money, to better their lives and stuff like that.
Alright, so I get what you're saying, but I could see how these big corporations are getting this money pumped into their corporation, but oftentimes all they're doing is just upping the rate of production but keeping the wages the same. I think it could be more, there could be a better outcome if the government was pumping the money into the lower class and giving them incentives along the way. Instead of just giving something welfare and giving them money, I think that if you're working a certain amount of hours a week and that can be your incentive, and the government can allocate their money to those people instead of the people who already have a lot of money.
While I agree that maybe the trickle-down economics isn't perfect because maybe they don't reinvest it, but I definitely don't think the answer would be to give these tax breaks to these lower class, because not to be totally cynical, I don't think they know their way around how to use these tax breaks to their advantage, and you're not gonna hand someone who can barely keep a steady job $10,000 just each week. It really just wouldn't be a smart economic decision to just give them this money, because that really goes with not giving handouts rather than giving them the skills. Because if you raise their wage and you raise their insurance, they'll have a better life, and they'll slowly maybe they'll get more education, maybe they'll move up in the totem pole. But if you just give them these tax breaks right away, they're just gonna take these handouts for not doing anything. They're not gonna better themselves at all, and they basically would just be oh, I did nothing and got this money, so maybe I'll continue what I'm doing, and the government will bail me out more later on in the future.
I understand what you're saying. I think it all just comes down to like incentives. Like I think there can be possibly a good medium between the two, but incentives definitely have to play a role.
That is true. I really think that the government of all sides, doesn't matter what party you're in, they should really focus on incentivizing the lower class and giving them reasons to work hard and to go to school, and so they can eventually better themselves, because giving incentives is better than just giving them handouts.
I agree.
Mr. Stinger, what is your stance on income inequality in the United States?
I know that there's actually a really great chart. I wish I could show you on my. I saw it on my social media, but there used to be a middle class that was like so, and it's going back, and there's been a distribution that's really kind of helped them. So I think that the middle class has been slightly dissipated, and it's sort of kind of going in that direction, and that's not good.
What's up, Shane? Good to see you at the election. So it's actually like funny I'm seeing you here. So like after hearing your points, I'm actually changing my candidate from Caroline to Bill Rufford based on his income inequality approach.
It's funny you should say that. You made such good points in our debate that I'm actually going to switch to Caroline.
Oh, well.
Funny how things work out like that, man.
Yeah, so this is me and Bill.
This is me for Caroline. Economics is fun.
It's great.
Yeah, what's up, yeah? What's up, bro? Let's go, dude. What's up, Bill? Go. Look at it. Everybody. Awesome.
That's all, folks.